Welcome to your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit. For decades, the US and Canadian auto industries ran like twin engines, synchronized, efficient, and unstoppable. But that smooth rhythm is stalling. Tariffs, politics, and protectionist policies have jammed the gears of one of the world's strongest manufacturing partnerships. Stellantis is shifting production south, Ottawa's firing back with legal threats, and the once seamless Detroit-Ontario pipeline is running on fumes. This partnership that powered North America's automotive dominance is now on the brink of a breakdown. Buckle up. Here are the developments. From spark to powerhouse, how Canada engineered its auto might. Canada's rise in the automotive world was no fluke. Decades of integration with U.S. car makers forged one of the most efficient cross-border supply chains on Earth. From the 1965 Auto Pact to today's USMCA, Canada earned its place in the driver's seat of North American manufacturing, offering duty-free access for vehicles meeting content and export rules. Southern Ontario became the region's beating heart, exporting nearly 90% of its vehicles to the U.S. Steel from Hamilton, aluminum from Quebec, and assembly plants across Ontario powered a seamless trade flow. But that same strength is now a risk. When one partner shifts gears, the whole drivetrain rattles. For car enthusiasts and industry watchers, this means your favorite ride might still carry Canadian DNA, but its birthplace and the parts that built it are now in flux. The once smooth Canada-US auto engine is sputtering, and the road ahead looks uncertain. But as Canada's reliance shows its cracks, Washington is changing lanes fast, and that brings us to tariffs. Tariff trouble, when made in America became a weapon. Washington's new trade playbook has redlined the rules of North American manufacturing. The message is loud and clear: build it in the US, with US parts, for US jobs. Rebates of 3.75% on US-assembled vehicles through 2030 and steep 25% tariffs on imported trucks have tilted the road sharply in America's favor. For Canada, that shift hit like a blown gasket. When Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick declared that cars will be assembled in the United States, not in Canada, Ontario's auto belt felt the shockwave. Union leaders and suppliers scrambled as production forecasts began sliding south. What once was automatic cross-border collaboration has become a high-stakes calculation of costs, incentives, and politics. For car buyers and industry fans alike, every vehicle's VIN now tells a deeper story. One about where it was built, what tariffs shaped it, and how America First might be pushing Canada out of the driver's seat. Before we delve deeper, do us a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to Piston Pundit. It keeps you in the loop with every major shift in the auto world, from powertrains to policy and everything in between. Now let's shift gears and see how Canada's fighting back. Canada's counterattack, from dependence to diversification. Canada isn't idling while the US revs up tariffs. It's shifting gears. Ottawa is steering the country toward a new era where reliance on the US is no longer automatic. The mission? Protect strategic sectors, expand global markets, and strengthen homegrown manufacturing power. Industry Minister Melanie Joly made it clear: stop waiting for Washington's green light and start building Canadian strength. Ottawa now pursues sector-specific deals in steel, aluminum, and autos beyond the USMCA, while relief programs cushion firms hit by US policy shocks. Buy Canadian campaigns are fueling patriotism at the consumer level, while investments target defense manufacturing, advanced materials, and clean energy, areas where Canada already leads. For auto watchers, this is more than a trade spat. It's a strategic overhaul. Expect to see more Canadian-designed for global export vehicles emerging, as new plants, materials suppliers, and innovations reshape where the next generation of cars will be born. But theory turns into torque on the factory floor, and the next chapter proves it. On the line, how factory shifts are reshaping the map. This is where trade policy turns tangible. In October 2025, Stellantis NV announced a $13 billion investment in the US, moving Jeep Compass production from Brampton, Ontario to Belvidere, Illinois. leaving 3,000 Canadian jobs hanging in the balance. Ottawa fired back, warning Stellantis that failing to honor commitments to Brampton workers could trigger legal action, while Ontario Premier Doug Ford called for retaliatory tariffs, a rare show of political unity across party lines. The ripple effects are already hitting parts suppliers and tooling firms across Ontario. For the first time in decades, Canada imported more vehicles from Mexico than from the US, signaling a profound shift in North American production flow. For car enthusiasts and analysts, these aren't just numbers. They dictate where models are built, which trims cost more, and how long parts take to arrive. The auto map of North America is being redrawn, one factory at a time. And as factories adjust, the bigger question looms: what's next for the future of driving? Shifting gears. What every car fan should watch next. As the trade dust settles, the road ahead is being repaved with new priorities, and Piston Pundit is here to keep you ahead of every turn. First, Canada's betting on high-value manufacturing. The country is pushing hard into specialty steel, next-gen alloys, and defense-grade materials, turning its auto plants from basic assembly hubs into innovation centers. Vehicles built here might soon carry a premium content label instead of low-cost labor. Second, Ottawa's opening new trade lanes. Canada's forging stronger export links with Europe and Asia, telling its automakers to diversify beyond the US market. That means future EVs and trucks could be designed in Canada, but destined for Berlin or Seoul, not necessarily Boston or Seattle. Third, automakers are running the numbers. With Washington's rebate programs favoring US-built models and punishing imports, every new plant announcement now hinges on spreadsheets balancing tariff risks and tax rewards. The Stellantis move wasn't an exception. It was a warning shot. Fourth, consumers need to pay closer attention. When you see a new model launch, check that fine print. Built in Canada? Or assembled in the Midwest with imported components? The answer will shape pricing, parts availability, and long-term reliability. And finally, the big picture. The seamless partnership era is over. The new normal is transactional, driven by leverage, not legacy. The US is chasing self-reliance, while Canada's shifting from dependency to distinction. And that brings us to the bigger question. What does this mean for the entire North American auto order? Verdict: the great rebuild of North American auto. We've reached a turning point in automotive history. The once synchronized US-Canada engine is idling unevenly, each country tuning its system for different performance goals. Canada's aiming for global resilience and innovation, the US for domestic dominance. For the car world, this isn't just a trade story, it's a transformation story. Jobs, models, and market dynamics are being rewritten faster than a firmware update on an EV. The next time you admire a vehicle's craftsmanship, ask yourself, whose policies built this car? Whose economy powers its parts? So we want to hear from you. Do you think Canada can truly go independent in auto manufacturing without losing its US foothold? Would you pay more for a Canadian-built vehicle if it meant stronger jobs and innovation at home? And with Mexico rising fast, could North America's next big auto hub be further south than anyone expected? Drop your thoughts below. Your insights drive this conversation. Don't forget to hit subscribe to stay updated with the next deep dive and future vehicle updates here on Piston Pundit. Thanks for watching. And as always, keep your engines tuned and your curiosity revving. Now check out the videos on screen. There's plenty more to explore.